What's up, everybody? Appreciate everybody that's already here. You guys are awesome. Make sure to smash that like button. If you're new here, hit that notification bell. Got a lot of big things coming up. But before we get into this, let me give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors that keep this channel running. We got Eden's Den, guys. Make sure to check them out on Instagram, as well as we have Zilla Footwear. You guys are looking for some awesome merch. They can make some really cool shoes. If you guys are with different reptiles, things like that. If you guys want your logo on a shirt or on a shoe, make sure to check them out. And then last but not least, Prize Critters, who we actually have here today. Big sponsor, really good friend of mine. I'll let him introduce himself. Go ahead, brother.
Obviously, if people don't know me, my name's Chris, Prize Critters. I'm based here in Australia, Central Queensland. It's a good part of the world. Showing the hobby a bit of love, what it needs, I think, here and abroad.
Cat Eyes, yo, GCG, what up? I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys help keep this channel going. Big shout out to everybody that's here. You guys really have helped us grow so fast. It means a lot to me. A few people had actually reached out to me who have been doing this longer than me, and had expressed that we have grown so much faster than even they had thought. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without you guys and all your guys' support. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. From my understanding, we are one away from hitting our 600 subscriber mark. And that was before we started this. So hopefully we hit that goal. But if not, I'm totally okay. But again, guys, I appreciate everybody that's here. Fry, huge supporter of the channel. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. Had to do a little job this morning for work, and then now I'm just at home doing the live, watching after my daughter. It's good fun.
Right on, right on. I heard there was a new puppy. You guys got a new little critter for the family.
They're
running around somewhere.
He's right behind me.
He's a puppy.
There's little Ollie.
It's got a heart on her head.
Yeah. So he's got a love heart on his head. Yeah. Very cute. Very cute.
That is cute. That's adorable. So let's see. Let's get this list going. I know I got a ton of questions and I got to roll up on them. So what all do you work with out there in Australia?
So myself, we got carpet pythons. We got green tree pythons. I have a lace monitor. We do have some knobtail geckos. What else we got? We got a Woma python. Some pretty cool carpet python morphs. We got albino bredlis, exanthic bredlis, Darwin albinos. Yeah. Caramel, het Darwin. We got a few.
Give me one second. Apparently the kids locked the wife out of the house. 1 second. I gotta open the front door.
No worries, mate. No worries. Thanks for everybody in the chat. G'day, John. Live feeds. How are ya? Mitzi. GCG. How are we? Thank you guys for all jumping in. Everybody else that's not jumping in the chat, appreciate you guys being here. I've just thought we'd jump on here and show a bit of love. And big fan of Darian. As everybody would know, his son's going through a bit of a battle with cancer, so I've always been a big fan of Darian, and that's just another big reason to be a bigger fan of Darian.
Appreciate you, bro. Sorry, the kids locked. So the kids are with the wife, and they locked the door behind them, thinking they were leaving. So they locked themselves outside. So she was lightly tapping on the door, and I was like, "What is that noise?" I thought it was the iguana. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's right here. I thought it was him. But no, I appreciate the kind words, bro. It means a lot. I do need to come out and do a live on Instagram to kind of explain Lucian's situation and what's going on with an update on him, but I'll save that for another time. So, get back into where we were going. Sorry, I do apologize for the sidetracks. What is your favorite reptile that you own. I know you listed off a lot of reptiles that you're working with. If you had to choose one that you come home to hang out with, which one would it be?
That's a good question. Some people think they know the answer to this one, but I would have to say it would be my green tree python.
Oh, I
It's
like the green
probably,
tree pythons.
yeah, it's this one particular, it's got night phased on its head, so black speckles. It's really special. It's never bitten me, never striked at me. I don't generally play with my snakes after dark here in Australia. It's just something I don't, I sort of keep to that rule. But
Right.
they've never sort of striked at me after dark, which is really interesting. Not that I really stick my hand anywhere that I can get bit, but yeah, so that would be my favorite for sure. But then the lace monitor is pretty close up there, so
I like the lace monitor. That's a big dude.
he's still growing. He's not even fully there yet.
How old is that? Is that lace monitor?
So he'd be 2 years, 3 months, something like
Wow.
that. Yeah. So
And how big do you how big would you say he is?
from tip to tail, 1.5 meters, easy.
Oh, wow. So for those that don't know, meters in feet is actually 1 meter is 3 feet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's almost 4 feet long, guys. That's nuts.
Bit
Is
crazy.
Dustin in the chat? I didn't see her in the chat. Oh, she did pop up somewhere. Everybody's saying hi. Oh, yep, there she is. Sorry, my kids locked me out. It's funny. I didn't see her. But
Yeah, no, so they would be my two favorite, but the green tree.
is that the one that you have with you, or did you bring any of the reptiles like to the side, like you were saying?
I didn't. I've
It's all
sort of
good.
just left them. There's a couple in shed, so I don't really want to disturb them. But I can
It's all
get
good,
one
brother.
snake out later.
You're all good, brother. So, what got you into the hobby?
This is a good question. So when I was a kid, my father used to be a tow truck driver, and he was based right near Australia Zoo. And at the time, it wasn't classed as Australia Zoo. I think it was called Biwa Reptile Park or something like that. And long story short is I remember going with my dad sometimes to work and meeting Steve Irwin. Tourists would leave headlights on in their car, and obviously they needed a jump start or a new battery. So that's sort of what got me into the hobby, meeting Steve Irwin and seeing how passionate he is about life and reptiles and everything that moves. So that's sort of what inspired me to do what I've been doing, and why I want to be kind of inspirational. Nobody can replace Steve, right? But that's what got me into it, I think.
That's awesome, actually, that you got to meet him and stuff. Because I remember as a kid watching him, and that was one of my big inspirations. Was how enthusiastic he was with these animals. I mean, I watched him grab a cobra by the tail and literally just pick it up, and he's sitting here explaining the venom, saying what could actually happen, and things like that, but have a big smile on his face, and
Agreed.
just no fear whatsoever. And that's really what captivated me about him, and I think that's what made me.
Yeah.
I think that's what started my obsession with venomous. Is they're beautiful, but they demand respect.
100%.
Thank you.
100%.
But yeah, that's awesome. You got to meet him though, for sure.
Yeah, a couple of times, so it was good. I'm still yet to meet Robert Irwin, but that would be my next dream in life, really.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what was your first reptile?
My first reptile was my big Darwin albino python downstairs. So I've had him for a while, just on 8 years now, I think. And I purchased him when he was a yearling. So he's my first reptile. So yeah, I really like the yellow white kind of banding look on there. Look pretty cool.
I like your guys's or the way you guys say albino, because we say albino and you guys over there say albino. And
Albino.
yeah, it's kind of cool. It was funny. I remember I was messing with Luke. I was messing with him about it because we were all live, and it was me, Luke, and the one other person, and I think they were from the UK.
Yeah.
And everybody says albino differently. You guys say albino, we say albino, and I cannot remember exactly how they say albino over there. But it was just slightly different than the albino.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of funny how it's the same word, but we all pronounce it differently. So I just thought that was kind of just a little side note.
Cool. It is pretty cool.
So all right, so you guys aren't able to import or export out there, right?
No. No. So we can't. I could never buy a snake off you and get it here to Australia. Look, people being caught doing it illegally, it's not worth it. I don't know about you, but I like coming home to see my reptiles. I don't like sitting in a prison cell, so that's not worth it for me.
So
the animals
it's a severe punishment if they're caught like doing that.
Yeah, I believe so. I thought last time I looked, it was pretty sure it was 30 years plus, and then the fines are phenomenal. Wow. They're like phenomenal fines. You're talking probably, depends how many acts and violations you break. You could be talking millions of dollars.
Wow, that's nuts. I mean, that's awesome that at least they're on it, because I know there's quite a few species out there that needed that help, because there was a lot that was being exported out from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I thought was really weird, and I haven't really had time to look into this, but I was told you guys don't have any native tortoises at all in Australia.
Only marine turtles.
Wow.
Or river turtles, that's about it.
That's actually really interesting to me. Like, I would have thought that you guys, like, being out there in the deserty area, like, I would have thought maybe there would have been something either introduced or something that was already there. So that's kind of cool and weird. It's an interesting thing that I just learned, that you guys did not have any tortoises out there.
Yeah,
but you guys have like some of the craziest venomous species just running around your backyard.
Yeah, no joke. I went to a house the other day because I do yard maintenance, and 3 houses up, I seen a snake catcher car there that I know, and so I sort of looked over, and he's like, "Coastal taipan, mate, coastal taipan." I was like, "What? Really?" So, well, I think that's the 3rd or 4th most venomous snake on planet Earth.
I was about to say, for those that don't know what the coastal taipan is, that is one of the top 5 most drop for drop venomous species of snake in the world. I believe it's either the top 5 or the top 10. I know if it bites you, you're kind of screwed.
You definitely need to get to a hospital.
Yeah, because they have a pretty potent venom. Yeah. So what is your craziest out and about encounter with your guys' like wildlife out there?
My most craziest encounter with a wildlife. Probably when I was a kid. We sort of used to live on the bush. I used to see a lot of snakes. But I used to see a lot of koalas. Koalas are struggling at the moment. I don't know if people know, we've had some big bushfires in the last few years, and it's really taken out a big population of koalas. So the koala was the first real animal that I encountered. I used to see them in our backyard in the big gum trees. So, but you don't see that much anymore. So a bit sad.
So that's really sad, because we have been planning to go to Australia. I want to go and visit, and see all of your guys' native or wildlife out there. And one of my big things was I really wanted to see a koala in its natural environment. And so when there was all those big fires, I was really worried about like, how are they going to get out of there? Because everything else is decently fast, and but koalas aren't, just going to jump out of the tree and run to people or type thing, and that was what I heard was most affected was the koala. So that's It's pretty sad.
It is
So
very
now
sad.
that you guys go out there, like, have you actually gone out to see if maybe you would spot any, or is it
Where
now
I
like
live,
more rare?
yeah, so it's probably a lot more rarer to see them than what we would have say when I was a kid. But yeah, like if where I live, we don't have koalas here unless they're at a zoo. They don't really come up this far north. So, but yeah, where my dad lives, he's in North Brisbane. There's koalas around there. I have seen koalas down there. So, g'day, Mrs. Fry. Hey, babe. Yeah. So, yeah, no, but yeah, koalas, they're pretty cool, and I feel like they need to be looked after really at the moment. A lot of help for them.
Appreciate you, Mrs. Fry. The missus always showing support. I appreciate her.
Thank you for being at work, babe. But yeah, so koalas, everybody out there in the chat, appreciate you. But if you can get into looking into koalas and help koalas any way you can, definitely do it. They're definitely something that needs to be saved.
No, for sure. I wish that I want to look into it and see what programs are going on, and maybe it's something that we could shed light on and try to help, because I think that would be.
I know it's not snake related, but
It's
it's
not snake
definitely
related,
something.
but I'm not just about reptiles. For those that know me, I love most species of animal, period. I'm not just about reptiles. Granted, that is a big part of, what I do, but we like doing tours of zoos, aquariums, things like that. We definitely enjoy nature as it is, so if it's something to do with, like an endangered species or like something that's very threatened, I feel like, we can. I have a voice. I have a decent following between all of my pages. I feel like if I can even help just a little bit, then that's something I want to do.
If
So
everybody
that's
around the world helped a little bit, imagine all that support that everybody's going to help. Like that's going to do so much.
right, and that's my goal. Is to spread awareness and do that. So I think that'd be really amazing. Appreciate you, Iron Dog.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
thanks, Dog. Appreciate you, mate.
Um, so what is your favorite species to work with right now?
Probably the carpet pythons, man. That's sort of where I am at the moment. Like I'm looking forward to next year, to be honest, because that's the first time I'll get to play with green trees and pair my green trees. So I'm really looking forward to that. But the carpet pythons, I bred a couple this year. It didn't work as well as I hoped, but I do have one more snake downstairs ready. So hopefully she drops some pearly whites.
Appreciate you, Benji.
Uh,
Benji's watching on his Xbox because he can't watch on his phone.
oh, g'day, Benji.
But
But yeah, so yeah, carpet pythons.
so how many species, like on a number, do you work with total?
6.
Nice. And out of that 6, how many can you work with? Because I guess because like we established, you guys can't import or export, so you're only able to work with native species. Out of
Correct.
that 6, how many total do you know that you're able to work with without permits or anything like that?
So all of our reptiles have to have permits. So like everything. I've got a file downstairs and it's got every single reptile on it when we purchased it. We get 3 copies of that. So the buyer, myself, and the seller will get a copy, and then the Parks and Wildlife have to be sent a copy. Everything's going to, digital now, but it instantly gets spread to the 3 people, buyer, seller, and Parks and Wildlife. You have to do that with reptiles. You get caught without it, there you go. You're looking at a big fine again. So it's very
I
strict.
did not know that. That's the first I've heard of that. So every single one has to have its own like paperwork.
Yeah.
Wow.
So pretty much like we're pretty what's the word? We're pretty intense on logging everything. So like I'll write down every time I feed my reptiles, or say, let's say a lace monitor, I'll feed the lace monitor today. Tomorrow he might go, to the bathroom. I've got to clean that. So I write all that down in the log, just so if Parks and Wildlife come here and ask me questions about my reptiles, I can just hand them the lace monitor book and they can read it and take copies, or, I don't have to sort of explain it to them. It's all written for them and dated. So I like to keep logs, but you have to keep logs, really.
That's actually really cool that you guys actually do that, because I know a lot of people out here don't, and I
Yeah.
didn't know we're not as like strict when it comes to that.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily you have to do it. We just choose to do it. So, like, let's say, for example, I wanted to sell one of them carpet pythons, then I can say to the person purchasing, "This is the whole record on that snake." You know everything about this snake now by reading that. So it's good information, I guess.
No, I agree. That's actually really good to keep that log and to keep track of everything, especially when you're, it's when you get to a certain aspect when you're getting keeping as many reptiles as average about 50 plus. You really, it's good to keep track of everything paperwork wise,
Yeah,
because it gets to be a handful and you won't remember off the back of your hand, hey, this animal 2 weeks ago weighed this
yeah,
amount, and now I don't remember if it weighs this much now, or it weighs this much now. Did it weigh this much before? Is it growing? Is it losing weight? So keeping track of stuff like that is actually really good. That's why I myself have been looking into what Billy over there at Mutation Creation is doing, as well as I believe Kabelka is doing something fairly similar.
yeah,
So I was looking at both of their programs and seeing how those are doing before I like jump into it fully.
yeah, yeah,
Um, because
yeah,
it does become a challenge, trying, especially when you have like a wide diversity of species.
yeah,
It's hard to keep track of every single one, and as well as when you're in different species.
yeah,
um
yeah. I
so
agree. So what, like, I'd clean the tub out or something, for example, and my partner will write it down as we're doing it, so I don't have to contaminate nothing with my hands. But I use gloves, so but I always wash my hands. But yeah, um, yeah, we just keep an eye on it like that. It's pretty easy if you do it like that, I think.
so what would be your favorite morph of, if you can pick the species, but what would be your favorite morph of that species?
I'm gonna have to go for the Bell Phase Lace monitor. I like it. I don't have a Bell's. Was going to purchase one this year, but I sort of pulled the pin on it. I'm just waiting until we can purchase a house instead of building big cages in my rental. The real estate and the owner don't mind. It's I mind. Um, so yeah,
No, because when you have
probably
to
the
move,
Bell.
you gotta remember you gotta move that cage. So I definitely get it. That's definitely something you gotta think
Plus,
about. Hey, if I build this sturdy cage to keep this big lizard in, I then have to remember I gotta break that down to be able to get it out of there and put it up in another place. So I definitely understand that.
100%. Plus, like, I've got to also think of somebody trying to steal my reptile. So the cage would have to be pretty sturdy.
What up, Derek? I appreciate you, brother, always popping in, showing support.
Thank you, Derek. But yeah, probably the Bell's phase, mate. I like it. I like the black and the white or the yellow. I think that looks cool. And for it to be a naturally occurring morph in the wild, that's just really cool.
Yeah, that's something we're talking about doing is next year we want to add at least 3 large monitor species to the collection and start breeding them. So we're already doing really well with the mangroves, and we're trying to decide what 3 species to go with. We could
Yeah,
go big with our croc monitors. We can go Asian water monitor, or we could do the a few different species is where we're kind of having to narrow it down, but that's one species that I do want to get, and then I want to make sure it's a Bell's phase because Bell phase is just beautiful.
They are
But
stunning. They are.
I got to give it to the normal though. Even though it's not a Bell's phase, their patterns are very unique. The contrast is amazing. I know for sure the wife wants a black dragon. She kind of made that clear. Oh, there she is in the comments. Black throat monitors. And it's funny you say that because I just got messaged today about one of my wholesalers, and they have black throat monitors for fairly cheap. So we may consider getting one or two black throat monitor babies in, and that would be fun.
That would be
babies fun. Babies are a handful, and they like to chew on you for a while. It takes a lot of work to tame out a black throat monitor baby. They typically lose their fear of people around a juvenile unless you work with them like right out of the egg.
Yeah.
That's when you kind of build that trust with them. But for now, these guys haven't been messed with, so I'm gonna get bit a lot, and I know it.
So they keep you on your toes.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're right. They just keep you on your toes.
Oh, for sure. They're fast little lizards too. When they're babies, they're wicked quick.
Yeah.
So what is your most anticipated pairing or hatching for this season or next?
So that's the one I'm waiting on. So that would be my caramel het albino het exanthic. So she was paired with a big albino. So we're going to find out if she is het exanthic or albino. We'll find that out. But that's probably been my most anticipated clutch. She's really late compared to everybody else. Like she's a good month and a bit behind, which is really odd. But she's way bigger. So I feel like there's definitely some goods coming. Can only hope. Fingers crossed. But if I do get it going and she does pop some pearly whites out, I'll obviously be doing posts on that. But when we come to cutting the eggs and their egg, I'm going to do lives. I think I'm going to jump on and do a couple of lives. So everybody keep an eye out for that.
Oh, for sure. If you guys aren't following Fry's Critters, guys, make sure to check them out. Here, I'll post this up. It's the older logo, but it has all his info, guys. Make sure to smash that follow button for my boy. He is trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on Instagram. So if you guys aren't following Fry, I definitely recommend it. A lot of cool things coming over there, guys. And I mean, they have a lot of species that we can't have over here. And not even just that, even the species that we do have here, they still have morphs over there that we don't see over here. Either we don't have them or they're rare.
Yeah.
So a lot of cool things from our friends over there across the pond. But definitely make sure to check them out.
It's good how two different worlds meet and collab. It's good.
For sure, man. It's all about the collabing and being positive, trying to it's all about the animals, man. And that's what I try to keep everything about, is about the animals, and and I love doing these interviews because it's not only about the animal. It's about like who you are as a breeder or a keeper, and it introduces you to the people that don't know you in our hobby. So that way, it kind of brings everybody together,
Yeah, agreed. It's a good thing.
So, what is your goal as a breeder?
I personally didn't really want to do breeding, so I've been keeping snakes for a little bit, right? But this year was the year that we wanted to breed. It just sort of seemed to work. So we tried it. It failed on a couple of levels, but it didn't really fail. I got some slug eggs, so something little went wrong, but I can fix that for next season. But we just want to kind of build our collection. My dream is to be wall to wall with reptile cages, with all their individual lights, their individual setups, their 3D backgrounds, but every cage will have something different in it. And I just think I don't need a TV. I don't need, that's my entertainment. And that's my dream, really, but you got to start somewhere. So we're just we're just still adding to the collection, you know, like I purchased some recent, you know, some snakes just recently. That's all adding to the collection. So, but yeah, just trying to probably go wall to wall with my own reptiles, you know, that would be nice.
That'd be awesome. I definitely get the whole TV and the reptiles because we actually did that. We had a huge cage under our TV for a while, and I feel we caught ourselves watching the lizards more because it was day geckos. So
Yeah.
I feel like we were watching them more than we were watching the TV, and then so what we did is we ended up moving it because I had a better spot, and then we put a fish tank there, and I feel we were sitting there watching the fish tank more than we were the TV.
Yeah, right. 100%. I couldn't agree. What that is so correct. I find the same. I find the same. So I've got a Woma python pretty much near the TV, and I'm always looking over at the Woma python, not even nowhere interested in the TV.
I like it. I like it. The Woma python is beautiful too. That's the newer one, right?
Yeah, that's one of the newer ones. It's definitely growing. He only shed the other day, so it's growing
So,
up.
who are your favorite keepers to watch on YouTube or Instagram?
Oh well, I have to be a little bit biased here and say yourself. Or watching you. There's a couple of other people that we all know. Um, I'll mention them. You know, there's Sex and Finessing, there's Iron Dog, there's Animal House. There's a few. Criticam. I'm a big follower of Criticam. Peter Birch. He's an Aussie breeder. You know, he's in my opinion, he's a pretty good down to earth gentleman. To me, he's been really cool. He's been really supportive, which is amazing. So yeah, you know, there's heaps of people, man. I could sit here forever and mention people's names off, but
That's
everybody really.
awesome.
I try to watch everybody.
No, I like it. I like it. You know, I support most of the people that you stated, and especially Iron Dog. He's been a huge supporter of the channel. He actually was one of the reasons we started YouTube, and he actually really helped us get our footing in on YouTube.
Yep.
So I appreciate you, Iron Dog. I know you're still in the comments. So
Yep.
I really appreciate you for that. You know, you were a huge contribution to getting us onto Instagram or onto YouTube, and helping us reach where the goal that we're at now. And I wouldn't be as far as I am right now if it wasn't for Iron Dog. So I really appreciate him. He puts out some awesome content. So guys, make sure to check out my boy Iron Dog.
100%.
Big supporter, great guy. Now Iron Dog does have a question for you.
I just
Have
seen
you
that. Yeah.
ever worked with any venomous?
Um, I have. I worked at a reptile park in Brisbane, or just north of Brisbane. And they're sort of linked to Australia Zoo. So, for example, they sort of share reptiles between the parks. So I had a chance to go work down there for what was that, 6 months, before COVID kicked in and ruined everything. But I was working down there, and after a couple of months, the manager said to me, "Come on, we're going to go pull out some venomous snakes. I hope you're ready." And I'm like, "I'm keen. I'm keen." So the only ones I was really allowed to play with, and I know this sounds really bad, but the red belly black, which is one of my favorite snakes. Got to play with one of them, hooked it, tailed it. It was really cool actually, because he was a bit shocked on how I knew a bit of technique. Obviously I do it with my practice on my carpet pythons, believe it or not. But yeah, so I got to play with them and death adders. So they're the only ones I played with, but all the other ones were coastal taipans, inland taipans. So I didn't get to play with that. That's probably for good reason, but yeah, that's about it. I think the only other one I can say I've played with venomous. I don't know if you can call it venomous, but the saliva in a lace monitor, if that bites you, you're gonna get mad infection. Like mad
I
infection.
don't know about infection. If you don't take care of it, yeah. But mangrove, I've been bit
Yeah,
a few times,
mangrove
and
monitors. Yeah.
their saliva is not something to mess with for sure. I can definitely vouch on that aspect. My female bit me in my ankle. And she got a good bite, and I felt sick for almost a week. I just could not, like, after the third day, it wasn't as bad. But like, when you're sick, you kind of feel weak. You feel like you're really tired. You don't want to do anything. I felt like that the whole week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely get that for sure. They do pack a punch with their bites.
Touch wood, I've never been hit by a monitor, so
I've been bit
but
like four different species, and it sucks.
oh yeah, I can imagine.
They gotta fight for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is one species you will never work with? Like, not because you can't work with them, but because it's just something that you're either not interested in or is too dangerous for you to want to keep around.
So I'm currently still trying to look into going venomous, but like I said, I kind of like need to sit back and wait for a house of my own, so I can have it laid out properly. But at the moment, we would not be touching coastal taipans, or inland taipans for that matter. I think they're the ones I'd probably stick clear of for now. But I have a huge respect for them, and I would love to own them in the future. Just right now around my family, I just don't want to risk that. So that's, I'd have to say them.
No, I get it. I mean, I have my boundaries with venomous as well. I love venomous. I'll play with a gaboon or cobras. I have no care when it comes to that. But if somebody opens up a black or green mamba or any type of mamba species, I'm out. I'm not even in the same room.
Yeah,
those things are wicked fast, and I've technically lost two of our really good friends of mine that were from Africa, who actually were milking venom. You guys actually may have seen one video Brian Barczyk did about it. A friend of ours actually got side fanged by a black mamba that he has milked plenty times. And all it took was that side fang into the thumb, and he put the snake away, and basically he knew it was done for. There was nothing he could do. He basically just told everybody his goodbyes, and that was it. Like, that's that. I don't think it put a fear in me, but like, I don't want something wrong to happen. 100%. So I'll mess with taipan. I'll mess with death adders, things like that. But I think I had to draw a line somewhere, and I drew the line at mamba.
Yeah. See, we don't get on, but if we did, that'd be something I don't touch.
Yeah, like that's something I probably would never. If I could own, I probably wouldn't. That would be my answer. Is the mamba? I would never do it. They're just too. I know my limitations, and I know I'm not as fast as a mamba.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm probably never near that.
I've seen and talked to so many people about the mambas like this, right? And one guy, actually, this is at least three people that have told me the same, almost the same scenario. Is they went to hook one out of the cage, and with a matter of a second, the snake's in their face and it's on the hook. Yep. And all it took was them to blink their eye, and the snake's basically in their face. So. I'm like, nope, I ain't the one. We all know that I'm not faster than a boar, so. Apparently, my kids want to have a fire tonight. That's what I'm hearing them shout across the house. Yes, we'll have a fire tonight. Go get wood.
Go stick picking.
Yeah, that's what I just told him to go do. He likes going to get the wood. I have a wood pile, so he's just gonna go pull from it with his mom and his sister. So I got one. If someone came and asked you, and this would be a unique one for you because you're in Australia. So if someone came to you wanting to get their first pet reptile, for either, let's do both. if they want to get, one person wants to get a snake and another person wants to get a lizard, what would you recommend as a first snake and a first lizard for each of those people?
That's a good question. I would say for the lizard, either a blue tongue skink or a bearded dragon. Just because of they're pretty chilled, you know. And they're nice. They're really nice reptiles. You had lizard morph Luke on last week. You know, he's got some really cool reptiles and bearded dragons and, you know, blue tongue skinks. I think they're probably the best. As for the snakes, Antaresia, so we call them dirt snakes. I think they're pretty cool, like marble children's pythons and spotted pythons and stuff like that would be really cool for a kid. But being honest, or not even just for a kid, but for anybody. But in saying that, I don't keep many Antaresia. I think I've got none actually. But it's all carpet pythons. I would actually say carpet pythons are a bit more chilled than the Antaresia young. When they get older, they sort of chill out. The carpet python turns to sometimes more aggressive, or it might even stay more chilled. Just depends how much you play with your reptiles. But yeah, so I would say bearded dragon, blue tongue skink for the lizard, and maybe a children's python or a Antaresia for the snake.
That's awesome. And see, and I thought that'd be a really good question for you, since you don't have out there in Australia, you guys don't have access to what we normally do. So like for the US, we would say the average answer for that would be like ball python and leopard gecko or bearded dragon. Yeah. As to where, you know, you guys don't have those out here other than the bearded dragons. Yeah. Now, how common are those actually to see out there?
Bearded dragons are quite common. I saw one maybe a week ago when I was mowing the grass. He was sitting over on kind of on like a log, but the log was being cut off at a certain height, and he was just sitting there getting a bit of sun. As soon as I sort of moved closer towards him, he took off. But yeah, you do see them all the time. Actually, it depends where you are. Blue tongue skink. When I moved into this house, we obviously got the keys and we come to this house to have a look, make sure everything was ready. And there was a blue tongue downstairs. And I was totally freaked out. I was like, cool, somebody around here's got pet blue tongue. So, yeah, you do see them. They are around. Probably not so much in suburbia. If you live a bit closer to the bush, yes, you'll definitely see some sort of wildlife reptile for sure. So.
Now, there's one video that I'd like to talk about, and I know you'll know right off the rip. So, our mutual friend Ricky found that blue tongue that was on the rock. You don't remember which one I'm talking about?
I think so.
That got his hand?
Yeah.
Are they normally like that in the wild? Like normally that like aggressive?
From what I've seen and the ones that I've come across, no, they generally run away, but depends. It obviously just depends, you know. Where Ricky was with that video, it's way hotter. So maybe he was a bit more fired up because of the heat. I don't know. I can't answer that properly, but I'm trying.
But no, yes, I get it. That thing just had a bad day or something because it wanted a piece of Ricky. For those that don't know, I will post that video. I'll share that to my Instagram story after this live. And I'll give a quick explanation of what I'm talking about. So Ricky is another Australian guy out there who likes going herping. And he was out herping and found a northern blue tongue skink sitting on a rock. And for those that don't know too much about blue tongues, their defense is to scare their like the predator off as they show their blue tongue and they open their mouth real wide. Most times it's a threat display and it's not so much that they'll actually bite you. This one jumped off the rock trying to bite Ricky and then actually latched onto his hand and got him really good. He was bleeding all over the place. It was nuts to see that behavior from a blue tongue. And so like if you guys, I don't know if everybody works with blue tongues or has actually had the privilege to hold one, but to handle one from captivity and then see that video, you're like, wow. I'm so
Mm.
glad you're a little puppy compared to this little,
Mhm.
gremlin
Mhm.
that's over here in the wild.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty, and that's stuff that I like to see. And it's not because he got bit or anything. I like seeing the difference between how we've like brought them up in captivity to where they trust us to where how they act in the wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually one of our goals is to try and travel around and go herping in different states or different countries and see how certain species act in the
Mm.
wild
Mhm.
and see
Agree.
see them in their natural habitat. I think would just be really cool.
Yep.
And I know there's tons of people that are doing that, like Dave Kaufman and Wicked Reptile and stuff like that. But to see it on video is one thing. To live that is an experience on itself.
Yeah, true. 100%.
Eric's in the chat. Somebody ban him. No, I'm just kidding.
No iron dog. I don't. Oh, you can apply for a permit to go get stuff, but I think that's only in certain states.
That was actually going to be my next question too. What is your regulations if you knew, if you're allowed to pull stuff from the wild? Like if you
Right.
found a wild morph running
Yeah.
around in Australia, are you allowed to pick it up and take it home?
So just recently, there was a brownie, really bright colored, and I mean bright orange, like oranges in like my drink orange.
Oh wow!
Eastern brown found in Bundaberg, which is maybe, I don't know, 2 hours south of me. Um. Anyway, long story. The reptile, the snake catcher, took a photo of it and posted it on his social media within half an hour. That had thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And every snake catcher that I've ever spoken to has never seen one that orange ever. And
Oh
that was
wow!
a natural morph. So he kept that snake for 24 hours because I believe that was the law, and he had to release it.
Oh,
So within that
that
24
sucks.
hours, I would have been taking photos like crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Mm.
Yeah,
I'll have to find that
I
picture and send it to
wonder
you.
if there was. I mean, I guess there's no way around that you really couldn't do anything about that on that when you're at that aspect,
Yeah,
especially since you guys are so up and up where you have to keep track of every single thing.
yeah, it's pretty scrutinized. Look, I'll be honest, I don't get picked on because we do everything right, I believe. But yeah, if you make a mistake, they're gonna come down on you like a ton of bricks, and it's not
Oh
worth it.
wow. Yeah, it seems like they're on the up and up over there when it comes to the wildlife, which is pretty cool. Completely different from the way the U.S. is. I mean, we have our regulations, of course, where certain states are allowed certain things, like Texas and Pennsylvania are allowed to basically own almost anything
Yeah,
without any permits or anything like that. As to where in Arizona we can only have native venomous, and then of course there are some that are protected, and then we can own almost anything else until you get to like the really exotic mammals and things like that. That's when it comes into play on that aspect.
yeah.
Um, Not tell anyone where I found it. Oh yeah, for sure, Iron Dog. I'd be the same. I'd be the same way. I wouldn't be telling anybody where I found it or where I put it, because somebody's gonna go be looking for or after that. But I feel like they kind of can't. I mean, if you guys are that like, I don't want to say anal, but if you guys are that like on paperwork that bad, there's nothing you could really do without anybody really knowing that you did it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. See, like, let's just put it into aspect. If I was to go and get a wild animal and keep it here, and then just randomly, Parks and Wildlife just turn up here, which because they have that authority, they pretty much have the same power as the police, I guess. They could pretty much turn up here and demand to see everything, right? And if they found that reptile, I kiss all my other reptiles goodbye and I get my ass kicked. So it's not worth it. I go out herping sometimes with mates. We pick stuff up, we take photos, we let it go and let it do its thing. It's probably just the best way to do it, really. Most of the wild stuff, like, we were just talking about, blue-tongued skink being pretty nasty. The wild stuff is nasty. Well, captive bred taipans are way nicer than wild ones every day. So it's a bit touch and go with everything, really. I've seen turtles out there, turtles in the pond that want to eat you.
Oh, for sure.
And you go back home to my house and I've got a turtle downstairs and it doesn't want to eat me. So it's pretty much the same turtle.
You ever? I saw it was a video. It was all things that you may have never seen before, and it was the inside of a sea turtle's mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It is weird. If you guys are like, if you're weird, wanting to look into weird things, go to Google and look up what the inside of a turtle's mouth looks like. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a ton of cones or like a ton of like really soft spikes. It's weird. Throw me off. Something I never thought of.
It's very weird, hey. When I first seen that, I was like, wow, it's something you see in a horror movie.
Right? Like most times you look into a turtle's mouth, you kind of see like the jawline and the mouth. But if you actually look like deeper in, it's like you're looking at a monster. Like Moon, what up? I appreciate you popping in the chat. I appreciate everybody here. You guys, really, it means a lot. Everybody in here. So here's one for you. So I stole this from my boy Derek over there at Derek's Reptiles, guys. Make sure to check him out. So how many followers on any of your social medias or combined would you have to tell the missus that you're famous and now you can't be bothered to take out the trash?
That's funny, but probably none because I don't take the trash out now.
Oh.
So I have two young boys and I have my beautiful partner, so I don't take the trash out very often.
Oh, you get to make the kids do it. Mine aren't old enough yet.
Nah, yeah, I don't. She doesn't really mind, I guess. She's a cleaner, so she's used to taking the rubbish out, I guess. But when I'm doing rodents and reptiles and stuff, I generally chuck that in the bin. But yeah, probably I wouldn't need 1 million followers. I just need what I've got.
Appreciate it, Levi.
G'day, Levi. Thanks for jumping
in. So let's see. I got a couple more questions for you. I don't want to take up way too much of your time. I got so many questions, but a lot of them you wouldn't be able to answer because they're for the U.S. Here's one. How do you feel about the market right now with people selling reptiles or morphs of those reptiles under market value? Do you feel that helps, or do you feel that helps in the long run? Do you feel that hurts the market on those species?
Well, I don't know how to explain this on a good answer, but I don't see any negatives to it, and I don't see any positives to it. But like, for example, if you were friends with people and you were both into the reptile breeding, and then like, for example, you're trying to undercut someone, like say your mate, I don't see that being cool. Like you should work together and stick your prices together. You know, maybe offer a deal, buy two, get one, or buy one and get two, or buy a cage as well or something and get a combo deal type thing.
Right.
But I wouldn't, yeah, see, I've been asked this question too, because like when we breed, I've been hit up by people, you know, wholesale with my snakes. And I was like, well, yes and no, but I kind of want to keep them. So prove them
See,
out.
I tell people that want to wholesale, don't do it unless you have a plethora of supply. If you have if you're producing tons and tons of these of certain snakes or whatever you're breeding,
Yeah.
and it becomes a little bit more of a problem for you to feed and things like that, yes, wholesale them out, get them moved. They'll go to good homes. Then you're not out all this money, and you're not worried about neglecting some of the animals. Now, if you're only producing one or two clutches of snakes, I wouldn't recommend wholesaling unless you're just really you just want them gone, and that's your thing. But for if you're trying to put back into your business side or your hobby of this, wholesaling them wholesale, if you're only making a little bit, I myself would not recommend it. Because I wholesale. We produce thousands of Pac-Man frogs.
Yeah.
I have to wholesale because I don't have all of the demand for as much as I produce to individual buyers. Now I do for other people that bring reptiles to expos or like stores, things like that. I have the demand. But if I'm going to hold on to all these animals, I would lose so much more money feeding these guys than I would wholesaling them out.
Agreed. Iron Dog's just chucked in a good one there, you know, that it is a hard question to answer because like over in America you pay what for $15,000 for a decent looking lace monitor. We're here in Australia, a normal lace monitor costs you $500 to $1,000. The dearest one I've seen is about $2,000, and that's a Bell's phase. So that's way, you know, if you want to talk about making the price fair, well, you guys in America should pay the same as what we do, really. I know our money's different.
You gotta think that's another thing when it comes into supply and demand. You guys have the supply and not a ton of the demand, so your prices are lower as to where here we have a high demand and not enough of the supply. So that's why they're worth so much, is they're still being bred.
And the question comes back to we can't export.
Right.
So whatever's out. It's got to,
right.
You know, unless people smuggle shit. But like I said, that's just stupid.
Yeah. And the issue that the only thing, like my aspect on that is, if you, and this is the best way I can describe it, is if you've worked hard for years and years and years to establish, say, let's go mangrove monitor. I'm only one of 10 people that in the U.S. that I know of that has successfully been breeding them. If I was to sell, say, a trio, so a male and two females, unrelated, to a guy, and those are captive bred, if he was to then take those babies, raise them, and breed them, and then sell those babies, so the children from them, at half the price of what I sold those babies to him for, that would just cripple our market.
Yeah, well, that's yeah.
Because then you have everybody that wants captive bred and born mangrove monitors going to him because he's got the cheap prices, as to where he's only done half of the work because, the pioneers of like myself, Kai Pan, and even Brian over there at JTK Reptiles, people like us that have put all that work into establishing a wild caught species, and then somebody taking the hard work we did and then just kind of turning around and slapping a cheap price onto the, as low as say the wholesale.
Yeah.
Wholesale, or say our mangrove monitors sell wild caught for $200, between 2 to 3. Captive bred mangrove monitors sell for 800 plus.
Yeah, right.
So if you get one person selling them for 200, selling captive bred for $200, it just cripples the market.
Okay, yeah, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. See, it's a bit hard to answer that question for here, but I did try. But yeah, like even if I bred something, and somebody bought the trio or whatever, and they bred it a few seasons later, and they were selling them for half the price. Well, that's going to hurt, but I've already got that couple of years on them. So, yeah. Like I'll be honest, I'm about 8 years behind on the albino bred light project, but I don't care. I only got them because I like them. I'm not. I personally don't. I can't even work out a price on them if I was to sell them. I know what I paid for them. I believe I told you privately on a chat one day how much I paid, but I could never really sell them for that. I don't know how I could. I don't know, but time will tell, man. Time will tell. Like, but yeah.
No, for sure, I get it. Yeah, I mean the market's constantly changing with reptiles. I mean, yeah, you think about it. 10 years ago, sorry, no, not 10. It'd be about 15 years ago. I remember albino ball pythons were selling for 20,000, if not a little more than the $20,000, and now you can get them for $100 to $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, the market is constantly changing. It's always fluctuating around,
Yeah. Same here. It really does fluctuate a fair bit within a year.
So let me see. Sorry about the dogs whining. Somebody went outside and they want to follow. So what is the best and worst things you see in the industry?
The best things is the love and support. Like Bosa, he's one of the great people. You've got Mitzi's, you've got the me's, you got big supporters out there. I think that's the biggest positives in this hobby. It's only going to make it stronger. Okay, I understand we're not all in the same country, we're all around the world, but that's good because it's getting world attention, not just America's attention or Australia. It's worldwide. We're making a little noise, so it's good. The negatives are the shit talk, the haters, the people that want to go around saying, "Oh, I've got 2 snakes, right? But you shouldn't do that to your snake because I've got 2 snakes and I'm some expert." Like if you've got the facts and you've had the time, maybe your knowledge. But if you've literally had these snakes for a week and you're telling someone else how to do it, then you shouldn't even be in this hobby. This is what's going to ruin it. Because I can guarantee you in 6 to 12 months, those 2 poor snakes won't be looked after, or you'll be selling them. You can pick people straight away, I feel, and that's the negatives. They ended up getting reptiles, they shouldn't have reptiles. Look at old mate you were doing the live with the other day, that person should never be allowed to touch an animal ever.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. It took me a second to think of because I've interviewed so many people, but no, I know. I definitely get it. Yeah, you're talking about the guy that did all the horrible things to those animals. No, I get it. No, yeah, that's for sure. I definitely understand where you're going with on that. That is definitely the worst thing we deal with as keepers and hobbyists and breeders is bad information.
Yeah.
You can't just pin it on 1 or 2 people or a one business or anything like that. I mean, there's plenty of places where bad information comes from. I mean, hell, if you look at Petco and PetSmart, you look at their pet care sheets, it's outdated. And that's where that's at. Then there's there's so much So that's one thing I definitely do see is bad information that gets taught to new keepers, and it gets spread because then those new keepers are excited to pass the knowledge that they learned on.
Correct. But yeah,
And
that would have to be in one of the cons too. You know, one of the shit things about the hobby is the information gets misread or misled. You know.
oh, for sure. Um, Iron Dog. So are Solomon Island mangrove monitors cheaper than other localities of mangrove monitors? Yes. So Solomon Islands are typically cheaper. Now, then again, all mangrove monitors are basically the same, but mangrove monitors travel. So they get the different localities due to the diet, things like that. Mangrove monitors actually swim. A lot of people didn't know this, but if you look at the physique of a mangrove monitor, you can tell the tail is more of a like a fin towards the back. And so a lot of people think mangrove monitors look skinny, but it's because they swim like really fast and really well in the water because they have been seen diving down 10 feet below surface level to catch fish. And I've proven that. I've gotten water trough that you would see for like horses and stuff, about a 10-foot round by 4 foot tall. And I mean, I throw some fish in there and they get great enrichment jumping in the water and swimming around and eating that or eating the fish. But yeah, they also are just like most people recognize it when the rhinoceros iguana, they have pits in their nostrils to process sea salt or salt, period.
Yep.
So if you keep mangrove monitors, a lot of people are like, why is the glass always so dirty, or it looks like it's like sneezing a lot? It's just processing the liquids that it's taking in, and it's shooting all the minerals and stuff out of the nostrils. And that's just like what rhinoceros iguanas do. That's why their glass is always so smudged and stuff. A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great question, Iron Dog. Great question, actually, because I think I've only ever been asked that like once or twice. Where was I? Here we go. If you had the chance, all permits, experience needed to own one or a pair of anything, and since you're in Australia, I'll even open it up. You know, worldwide, if you could have one or a pair, permits, everything you needed, what would you own and why?
Well, I think some of us know the answer. But Komodo dragon, I'd love to get a
Ooh.
pair. Or even a trio.
You're going big.
Yeah, mate. If I got Komodo dragons, unfortunately, my snakes will have to find new homes because I'll be too busy with Komodo dragons. Yeah, I would love to learn more about them. I can't own one, so that's why I've got a lace monitor. It's the next best thing, and they are related, so that's handy. Yeah, Komodo dragons. I don't know. I just love them, man. They're so big and cool.
They are. They definitely are. I mean, they demand respect.
Yeah.
Doing these tours of zoos and facilities and stuff, my goal is to get as close as I can to a Komodo as possible. I mean, that would just be just the pinnacle peak of it. I mean, getting to hold a capuchin monkey was cool, but to stand next to a living dinosaur that is bigger than I am, I mean, that would just be simply incredible.
Yeah. So when I worked at the reptile park, I got to go in with the Komodo dragon. You've got to take a big board, so if it charges at you, it's like a shield. But I got to pat its tail, and then when I patted its tail, it sort of moved around, and I was like, my heart dropped. I was like, oh shit, I'm out.
It was at this moment that Fry knew he messed up.
Yeah, I was out, man. Yeah, Parenti monitors are nice, Iron Dog.
Yeah,
I've got mates
that say
they're nice.
Your friend that you had messaged me has a beautiful Parenti.
Yeah. that's the guy I was just mentioning. Yeah, he's got some nice ones. Hopefully he'll have some babies soon too. So he's got a breeding thing happening at the moment. He's pairing them up. So
Are you allowed to have parenti monitors?
I can if I wanted to. Oh, it's another thing I need I need to buy my own house yet. Like I've got this lace monitor. He's going outside. He was actually in an indoor cage at the moment. I only do this for winter, but he's at the age now where he doesn't have to come in. He can go through the elements. Not like he got really any warmer being inside, but it was more security. But yeah, I can own a parenti monitor. I have been thinking about it. My mate that we were just talking about was going to sell me one really cheap as a mate's thing, but yeah, I'd rather start as a baby. This one was a bit older, see, so I'd rather start with a baby.
I would recommend a baby for sure. You know, the bonding process that you can achieve with a baby is so much better than you can with an already full grown adult. Now, don't get me wrong, you can bond with an adult. You know, you could definitely do it, but it's not the same type of bond you could do with a baby.
Correct.
But with monitors, they take so much work to be able to do that. They're a constant every day.
They're pretty expensive. Parenti monitors, I think they're about $3,500 Australian dollars, roughly. Which is not
How
too
much
bad.
Are they?
What they're about $3,500.
Oh wow!
It's not too bad, but it's not like, say, in the moment here in Australia, Emerald Tree monitors, they're like $15,000 for one. So
wow.
Yeah, that's something I'd love to get next, but that's a lot of money.
No, I get it for sure. That's something that's going to be way down the line. No, 100%. I understand that. Iron Dog, I wish we could have them here without special permits like zoos. Oh, 100%. We do need our zoological permit to be able to consider having one. So I definitely get that. I found out something really interesting. So I was talking to a fish and game warden because I want to get my educational permit or my zoological permit. One second. And so I asked him, I was like, what can I do to help my chances getting my permits? And he was like, okay, well, do you do like outreach programs for schools? And I was like, yes, I do. I have my licensing. I have, the insurance. I am LLC. And he was like, okay, this is what you need to do. Do you have YouTube? I was like, I do. I started one. He's all, are you monetized? I told him no. He's all, get monetized. Get a ton of views. If you do it as an education, that will count to your educational permit.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, no way. Like, no way. That it's that easy? And he's like, yeah, that's all you really need. Like that is a huge bonus. If you're doing educational content, then you can have the educational permit. Of course, there's a lot of regulations involved in that, but you could it would put you at a higher chance to get approved.
Yeah.
So that is another reason we're trying to get monetized on here is, we want to get our educational permits so we can own certain species that we can't own now without that. So I think that'd be really cool.
That would.
Sorry, my daughter came to ask me if she can have some of her Halloween candy. I was like, what do you? She's like, it's like life or death. I was like, what? She's like, can I have candy? So I only have one or two more questions for you.
Oh yeah.
And this is the one that kind of ended out. If you had advice for anyone wanting to get into breeding, what would your advice be to them?
Slow and steady wins the race. Don't make it a game. Don't make it a challenge. Don't make it anything but what you want to do, right? Have a plan and a goal and put it over roughly a 10-year dream. And step it out. Don't just think that you're going to get there overnight. Because I see a lot of people, I'm pretty sure everybody sees a lot of people go out, buy these reptiles, and then sit there on forums, be like, what do I do now? What do I do now? What do I do now? Like, it's just silly. So yeah, just do your information, do your research and your homework prior to owning the animal. That's probably the biggest key for everybody is just do your homework. You know, it took me ages to do my homework before I started buying like lace monitor or, you know, a Woma python that it's really big. So yeah, just do your homework. You know, these things are with you for a long time. Most of these reptiles live 20 years, don't they? So, you know, that's a fair span.
Average lifespan is 20 years. Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, that's amazing. You know, most dogs and cats unfortunately don't make it that far. So these things are forever. So you really got to think about it when you do it. And if you do your research, you shouldn't have any issues. If you don't do your research properly, you might get stuck. That's where these forums and lives are great, because if you sit there and you listen, you can maybe answer some questions, you know. So yeah, just learn. Homework.
No, for sure. That's great advice, bro. I mean, I enjoy it. And I love asking this question. I probably sound like a broken record at this point. Um, but I love asking this question because we have a lot of people that keep, but they don't breed, and they want to get into breeding. So when I ask this question, a lot of them will reach out to me, and don't be alarmed if people reach out to you after this. You know, because this is something that is helping them learn before they make that jump into actually producing more life. And so that's like, you know, where they're at is, okay, I'm a keeper. Should I become a breeder? Should I do this? Is it something that I'm ready for? Things like that. So
Yeah.
a lot of people that actually follow this channel, that was one question that was suggested to me a while back when I first started this.
Mm.
And I've asked this question to almost everyone, and the answer isn't always the same, but it has the same message.
Yeah.
Do your research, make sure you work with what you love, and, you know, make sure that the animal comes first.
Yeah.
You know,
First and
that's
foremost.
100%.
And be
I did
prepared.
neglect the. Sorry, go ahead.
And you also got to be prepared, you know. You have expectations and you think, oh, I'm going to pair these snakes. I'm going to have all these babies. Oh, yeah. Shit sometimes goes south, right? I had
Yep.
clutches and I didn't make any eggs. They're all lace
Infertile.
monitor food in the bin, unfortunately, you know. So you highs and lows of the hobby. This is, you know, you're not just going to walk in and think you're going to cash out with a million babies. And if that's what you're trying to do, you should be doing this.
Sure. I mean, you're not going to get rich by doing this. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, Brian Barczyk makes a little bit of money, but how long's he been doing this, and how many millions of snakes does he have, and how many employees does he have?
right.
Uh,
I've talked to Brian once before about that, and he's explained to me, even though yes, they make money, it literally amounts to little to what they really do, because most of what he makes goes back into the animals, goes back into expanding the zoo, goes back into the, you know, education program, you know, of bringing people in and doing stuff like that, going, you know, traveling. to bring more light to different zoos and different animals, things like that. So at the end of the day, it's not like Brian's rolling around in money, even though he's he is very successful in this, but it's not like he's rich or anything like that.
He's not.
It all comes back to the animals.
How many millions of dollars is this new upgrade costing? So that's where everything goes, really. But if that's people's dreams, then that's good. That's a good dream to have.
For sure. For sure. So I did neglect the chat for a minute. I do apologize, Iron Dog. He had a few things to say. So have you seen Iguana Girl on Instagram? She has a special bond with a Komodo dragon. It lays with her and it is super friendly. Very cool to see. I'm actually gonna have to look that up. I have not seen that. I think that's really cool. The next one was Ty Park has a Parenti monitor in Florida. Yes, he does. He actually was gifted that by another zoo that wanted to help him out with everything going on in Florida and wanted to give him that to try and breed them. I think he has 2 of them, 2 or 3 actually. So he has a few Parenti and he's trying to breed them out there. Ty Park is a great guy. Does some amazing things for conservation and education, and I support Ty Park 100% in his endeavors. He is one of the very main reasons why the rhinoceros iguana, for those that don't know, rhinoceros iguanas are endangered, but not in captivity. They're only endangered in the wild. So even though they may go extinct in the wild by the time, one of my children is in their 30s, they'll never go extinct because there's so many insurance colonies in captivity. And that's why insurance colonies are a must for a lot of these species. So definitely support your local zoos and rehabbers that are doing these, doing these programs, trying to bring these animals back to, educate, or, trying to bring them back from extinction. Iron Dog said, research. Make sure you know how big that animal will get, as well as many people buy big snakes as babies and then don't want them when they get the size on them. And I agree. That's the number one most common thing is the reticulated python. People buy that thinking that, hey, I can handle this. And then by the time it's already 8-9 feet in the first 2 years, people already start, having, trying to push them off on people.
Yeah. No, that's a big thing, Iron Dog. I see that here in the hobby too. They buy a little carpet python within 3 years, it's 2 meters, and they're like, oh, well, this is too big. We didn't expect that. Well, research.
No, for sure. That's 100% what I normally see is people get big snakes, and that kind of also falls into the category as well as misinformation. I mean, I firsthand witnessed Petco. I went in there to get some feeder fish after a show that I did at a school. It was at a school or a party. But we did an outreach program, and my wife and all the reptiles were in the car, and she had the AC going, of course. And so I ran in to get some feeder fish for my Mata turtles. Well, I'm in there, and I'm waiting for somebody to go help me get the fish. And I overhear this lady talking about wanting to get a reptile for her child. And she's like, I can only handle something that's 4 feet long max. If it gets bigger than that, I'm going to be afraid of it. We can't have that. She's like, maybe I can handle 5 feet. That's it.
Yeah.
The woman that was in there was pushing this lady to buy these boas, these red tail boas, BCI, already about 1.5 feet, almost 2 feet long. Those things have been sitting there for 2 months already. Because I remember when they got them, because one of them had a respiratory infection, and I told them about it. They had to go put it in the back room. Which was funny because the lady that is head of the department argued with me. She's like, I have 5 years experience in this job. I was like, that's great. You obviously don't know what you're doing. If you have 5 years, then you can't understand that has a respiratory infection when it's blowing bubbles out of its nose. Like, you it was nuts. But I was listening to her, and she told this woman that a red-tailed boa, BCI, only gets max 4 feet. Mind you, I have a boa in the car that is 14 feet. Same species, just she was only that big because she was power fed before we got her. She was actually a rescue that we had taken in, who was severely obese.
Yeah.
So I had literally, the lady argued with me. I was like, dude, that's wrong. Like, I think you're thinking of something else. That's not a BCI. They get over 12 feet. And she's like, no, they don't. You don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah, blah. Your opinion's not needed. Get out of here. I was like, I can prove you wrong literally right now. She's like, you're going to pull a picture up on Google? I was like, no, I'm going to go get the 14-foot boa in my car. And so I went out there, and I tell my wife what was going on. She was like, you really going to prove a point right now? I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people in there. I'm going to make this lady look dumb. And so I walked in there, and when we do educational shows, I actually bring a couple animals that we have for adoption. Sometimes we take in owner surrenders, and I try to find them homes. So we'll bring them out to shows, and sometimes they're up for adoption, and I'll have like the cage and everything they need with them. Well, I had showed the people the boa, and was like, this is what you're looking at. That is a baby form of this. And the lady just shut up, walked away, and hid in the office until I left. And she had to have the store manager come out and talk with me because what I did was a quote unquote unprofessional. And made her look dumb in her field of whatever. And the lady ended up asking me what would I recommend, and I told her, like, you know what, if you want something that stays small, that's would be a good beginner, would be a ball python. She's like, I don't want to buy any of them from here. I don't want to support what they're doing since they tried to get me to get a snake that gets that big. I had to rehome that in what, a year? I was like, yeah, just about a year. Yeah. And so I had a very it was an older male ball python that was stunted growth due to how he was kept before. And so he was only 3 feet, and he wasn't getting any bigger because he was stunted due to how he was fed and things like that, and the neglect that he went through. So I explained his story to her, and I was like, here you go. And I didn't even charge her. I just gave her everything with her daughter there, all excited.
Yep.
And I just gave them to him. I was like, here you go. If you have any questions, here's my card. Call me anytime. And I actually got an update on that animal last week. He's doing really well still. And the daughter did they went to school on what was it, last week? I think it was Thursday. And they went to school and did a show and tell about the snake, and I thought that was really cool that the kid did that.
Very cool. That's good. That's good. See, that's what this hobby's about.
Right on, Life Fees. I appreciate you, brother. Definitely check out my boy if you guys are looking. I'm not big into live feedings, guys, but pinkies and stuff like that for frogs is definitely a good food source for Pac-Man frogs, and that's what he does. So definitely check him out if that's something you guys are into. I don't do many live feedings unless I'm doing something educational, like with venomous. And if you watch the live feedings, you'll see I bring up the venom, I bring up what the venom does, things like that. But other than that, that's me. No, we're not getting a Parenti. But Mrs. Fry, he wants a Parenti.
Yeah. No, she knows. Yeah.
It's all good. But I appreciate you jumping on here and sharing your time. That was a positive thing to do as well, because if she would have trusted them, she would have sold the snake and probably never own a reptile again. Oh, for sure. I mean, she would have had to sell that snake, and I mean, it could have been bad if she's afraid of the animal and they sense that, you know, so there could have been a potential risk of her not handling it getting Boa's being very food driven. Somebody could have been bitten, somebody could have got hurt. So that the 100%, I'm glad that I was there when I did.
Yeah, that was good timing, eh?
A Parenti or a Taipan, your choice.
It's funny. It's funny he says
You're
that
gonna get
because
Fry in trouble.
Mrs. Fry is actually getting her venomous ticket before me,
Yep.
so she'll be playing with the venomous before me. But that's all good.
YouTube won't let me go live anymore or post more than 5 videos. Really? Wow, that's weird. But anyways, brother, I appreciate you. Oh, you're good. You got to deal with children. You're all good. I got to deal with mine too. They've been running around all crazy. But no, I appreciate you jumping on. Tell them everybody how they can find your channel.
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I don't really do much on YouTube, but I do shorts. I do have a Twitch platform. I haven't been on there in a little bit, but I'm going to jump on Twitch probably in the next couple of days. So if you don't have Twitch, download it. Come check me out. Just chill out while I'm cleaning some reptiles and hang out.
For sure, for sure. Guys, make sure to smash that like button. If you guys haven't done it, hit that notification bell. We do have a few big names coming on here soon. We did kind of drop a hint of what we're doing next week. For those that don't know, there is a big tour going on with the Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary over there with Caitlin. A lot of you guys may know her from TikTok. I know they are making a push for YouTube. I'm not entirely sure how they're going on that. But I know Caitlin's doing really well on TikTok over there. We will be live with her, as well as we have a special guest. I will announce it later. I know I've kind of already said it, but there will be a big post next week. We also have Critter Cam coming on with us next week, or this time next week. So stay tuned for that. Another Australian guy who does some amazing work out there. A lot of awesome things. Mr. Peter Birch. So definitely make sure to smash that like button, hit that notification bell, guys, and share this out. Is the best way to help the channel grow. Is
100%.
definitely make sure to share this out, even if you don't send it directly to somebody. Maybe somebody who likes reptiles or likes things like what we're doing will see it.
Yeah.
But Fry, I do appreciate you for sure. It was awesome having you on. It's been a while, and it's been a long time coming. I've been meaning to get you on sooner, but getting you on during your breeding season was just something that we couldn't do. But I'm glad I finally got you on during the Australian month of breeders.
Good. No, it's good, man. Appreciate it. And everybody in the chat, thank you for tuning in. Without you guys, we wouldn't be, we'd be just looking like two clowns hanging out.
For sure. No, for sure. Quick shout out to all of our sponsors that support or keep this channel running, guys. Make sure to check out Eden's Den. They out there on Instagram. Zilla Footwear, guys. They do a lot of awesome stuff. Different shoes, different, tons of different things over there, guys. You definitely got to check them out. I've got a few pairs of their shoes, and I mean, it's simply incredible. Definitely check them out. Link is in the description. There's tons of different types of shoes. They still have their Halloween ones up, I believe. If you want to get a custom shoe with your logo on it or a special reptile on it, make sure to message them on Facebook or Instagram personally and let them know that I sent you, and they will take care of you 100%. And let's not forget the man of the hour, my boy over here, Fry's Critters. Guys, big supporter, was one of my very first sponsors and has been with us since he started sponsoring us, has been with us consecutively. So I really appreciate you, Fry, for supporting the channel and supporting us, especially with everything going on. It means a lot to me and my family.
No, she's good, mate. Happy to do it. Happy. Good.
I appreciate you, Mrs. Fry. I appreciate you too. I know you're at work. And I know you're in the comments, but we definitely appreciate you. I always see you in the comments, either on Instagram or on YouTube. So huge support from them guys. Make sure to give them a bunch of love. Find Fry on Instagram, Facebook, and give him a follow, guys. He definitely deserves it.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night, Mitzi. Appreciate you, Victor, for popping in. You always show up late, but it's all right. We love you anyway. You just owe me a really discounted blue tongue skank, but it's whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But I appreciate everybody here, guys. But make sure to stay tuned, smash that like button, and I'll catch you all in the next one.